Good morning. Good morning. What is going on, all you profitable stylists out there and all you future profitable stylists out there? We have a guest with us today from the SFTB podcast co host, John Salvador. Bernard is out of town this week. John, thanks for sitting in. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Bernard's gone. We have control of everything. This is going to be a hot mess.
We are talking about color techniques that will blow your clients away.
Yes.
You being a colorist, me being a colorist. Are we colorists or color specialists?
I'm going to go with tint chimpanzee.
Because you have your handy dandy book next to you. Yeah.
Would you like me to get my book?
I don't care.
The handy dandy color book. I love the handy dandy color book.
I love that book so much, But these are the kind of things. So what are color techniques that'll blow your clients away? You could do it with foils. We're going to be talking about hair color, additives to your treatments, and just different approaches in general, especially with keeping up and maintaining the trends. Yeah, you love that book so much.
This is my handy dandy all nutrient color hair color book. I'm going to tell you guys why I love this book since we're getting into color, okay? Because we get in busy days where we're running crazy. And you know what? Sometimes the simple things totally go to the other side of your brain and you can't find them. And it doesn't matter if it's this book or any other color book, really. All you got to do is flip open the page. And this tells you where color lives, gives you the color wheel. Most color companies have something like this in one of their books. And this is such a useful tool. And even for me, because you're busy, you're thinking two clients down the line. Because I have Roberta coming in at the end of the day, and I know she's going to completely ruin my day. So I'm thinking about that, wondering why I don't drink anymore. But once again, this tells you where color lives at each level, what your contributing pigment is, and all this. And I know, guys, that's rudimentary stuff. I learned that in beauty school. Blah, 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 blah. But once again, it's the simple things that we forget. But yes.
To piggyback off what you just said there, though, there is the expression, I love my expressions. The money is made in the mundane. Okay.
Ooh.
The rudimentary, the day-to-day stuff is what pays the bills. The high fashion, high fantasy, cool, flashy moves and techniques is what gets you your attention on the social media. That's marketing and advertising. But the money is made in the mundane. I've said this before talking to Bernard on a couple of past streams. I have this conversation with other stylists all the time. We're like sitting there trading clients like you're trading baseball cards back in the day. And I'm like, no, you know what? All the little gray hair touch-ups that you don't want to do, all the root touch-ups that you don't want to do, yeah, absolutely. 5-10 minutes, you block out a 15-minute in your book just to keep your schedule on track. Yeah, give me 4 15-minute touch-up blocks in a row for my hour. That's 4 clients in that hour, and I'll double book on top of that too.
Well, that's what you stole my comment. Yeah, I can throw at least a fifth person in there.
Easily.
So and that's really how you build. That's how you build your base, and that's how you build your paycheck. It's real great to block out an hour, and then you get to run it back and sit on your phone and watch TikTok or whatever you do.
Not me, man. I turn it into a party. So this is the first technique. It's the juggling act. So you sit your first client down, you start working on your first client. Your next client comes in, you tell the client that you're currently working on, you're like, oh, cool, check it out. Wendy's here. Hey, Wendy, hi. Come on over. Hey, Wendy. Have you met Joanne? Wendy, Joanne, Wendy, come on, sit down. She's like, oh, hi, how are you? Oh, cool. It's like, hey, Wendy, guess what? What I'm doing on Joanne, blah, 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 blah. Oh, Joanne, guess what? Wendy, look. You know how we were talking about this? This is what we're going to get you to. Because, or vice versa, whoever's been with you longer or shorter, you use the person who's been with you the less time, who's newer client to you. You use the other client as the example, as the end goal. Like, this is what look at how cool her hair is. Oh, I love your hair. There, everybody's going to say, I love your hair, right? But then some clients actually do love other clients' hair. And they're like, oh yeah, Eddie, I look like a train wreck, blah, 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 blah. You're like, similar story. Hello. This is what we're working you towards. And you have a real time, real life before and after right there. Now, these two are chit-chatting away. You're just banging out the color. You're just banging out the color. You know?
Right.
You sit her down. The next client comes in. Oh, hey, Susan, come on in, and then sit down. Hey, Joanne, Susan, Joanne, Wendy, Susan, Wendy,
Right.
And then all three of them conversing amongst each other. And then you're throwing in there and you're throwing in little grenades into their conversation, because the clients amongst themselves are going to start talking about something else entirely that got nothing to do hair related. So then you throw in a moisturizing product or a whatever the product is that you want to sell, and one of them is coincidentally using it or has used it before. You throw that in there and have them talk about. They'll sell it to each other. They'll sell it to to each other. And at the end of the services, when they're rebooking with you, they'll thank you for having so much fun, having a party out of it, and being like, wow, I was in and out of here. Like, did today go fast? I'm like, no, man, are you kidding me? It's already an hour. Get out of here, And it's like, oh, an hour went by that fast? Yeah. And they don't feel that they were there for as quick or as long or as short or whatever the situation becomes. They don't feel the time pass through.
Right. No, I do the same exact thing. And I will upsell my services while I've got 2 or 3 people sitting here about, we should do that gloss we were talking about. And then the other two's ears perk up. Going, gloss? Wait, I want that too. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's so simple, and it goes right along with the basics of when you're building your businesses. And I'm going to get a little preachy here, guys, so I'm sorry. No one cares what the Kardashians are doing or whatever social media people are doing. You should be talking to your client about their hair and about what plan you've got for them to build your business and build that relationship with your client. No one wants to know that you were out till 2:00 in the morning drinking. Okay. They don't care that you were out the night before. Work your business, build your business with them. And that's how you get your future bookings. Okay. Oh yeah, next time we should do a couple highlights or use put whatever into that subject matter. And all of a sudden you notice you're filling your book out 6 weeks, 7 weeks in advance. And for more than just, and God bless them, I love my single process clients, my ladies that don't want to know nothing about any kind of outgrowth. They're in every 3 to 4 weeks. They want that outgrowth taken care of. That's your bread and butter, but there's nothing wrong with taking your bread and butter and turning it into a steak. I can't preach that enough. And that's, right along what we're talking about, becoming a profitable stylist. And it starts with one, and build those good habits now. You do your initial pleasantries with the client, but then you move forward. Especially, there's so many color techniques out there now. I mean, every week and a half, something's changing, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like I had 2 back-to-back. One wanted the new butter blonde. And then the other one wanted I just saw this video on having beach blonde. And I went, okay, and we talked about it. So if you guys are seeing people come in and ask for those colors, I guess I'll throw it to you real quick. How do you make butter blonde, Eddie?
Land O'Lakes.
I like that. I like Landolings. I like the soft butter. That stuff's good.
The salted. The butter blonde is easily done with pre-lightening. That'll be the easiest way to do it, to pre-lighten it and then tone it after. If you're going to do it with only color, then you got to have the right base first. If that client's hair is not a natural level 8 or lighter to begin with, you are not going to get a butter blonde. You're going to get a Philips light bulb or a GE or whatever brand of light bulb. Okay. If their level 7 would be the absolute darkest, and that's only still conditional on the fact that they're like a 7.5, not like a true 7 or darker. It's that contributing pigment. A buttery blonde is golden based, but golden based equals brass. If it's too golden, there's that sweet spot between being golden and neutral, somewhere in between there. That's that beautiful buttery blonde. Now, if somebody is tan or darker skinned complexion, then you can go a little more golden. If somebody's a little more bronze, then you can go a little more warmer and go a little more golden. So that's the other thing you got to take a look at too. That's another technique is being able to visualize what the client will look like and be able to explain to them how to look like. Coloring techniques is not just about the actual application of the technique itself. It's about being able to sell that technique to your client and do it in a way where it's going to be motivational and exciting for them. So that's my buttery blonde take, if that answers your question.
That did answer my question, and I'm gonna back up your statement with when we're lightening and we look at someone and we say that they're a level 7. There is a whole lot of shades in level 7.
Where's your book?
I'm not even gonna grab the book. I'm not gonna grab the book. I'm not gonna
show it. You'll be so happy. I know you will.
Because you get a rash. You get a rash when I do this. But if you look at level 7, look at the color difference in just a full level. And that's with every level that you're lightening. So you have to understand, you've got to understand where in level 7 is she? At what depth is she? Is she like, on the darker side of a level 7, or is she on the lighter side? Because when you're lightening, and if you're using tint, you've got to go through that full level of decolorization, right? So that's something that you have to, and once again, that's technique. That is technique. Because if she's on the darker side of level 7, you've got to come all the way up through it. And what you're saying, I'm never good with this. Science is fun, but science is dumb.
Science is fun, but science is dumb. It doesn't know what you want it to do. It only knows what you tell it to do.
Exactly. So with your color, you've got to tell it what to do. It's not going to read your mind. You've got to formulate correctly and know that if you're on, like you said, the darker side of level 7, you're lifting all the way up. There's going to be a ton of contributing pigment, and you have to formulate to counteract that if you're going for a butter blonde. I am a toner. I love toner. I tone a lot, but toner is not the fix, the savior that we think it is, right?
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
all
yeah?
right, here. Okay, wait. Here's something fun. Let's break this down. Let's break this down step by step.
Okay.
So somebody, what do you want? You want to stick with level 7 since we're talking about that?
Well, yeah, since we're talking about the butter blonde.
Okay, fine. Level 7, natural level 7. Okay.
Where on 7?
Just throw it in there. Just middle of the road. Perfect level 7.
Okay.
And let's just go with something realistic. Normal density, porosity slightly, destination eft, texture density, porosity, yeah. And wavy hair, straight-ish, natural body to wavy hair. That's what's realistic, right? She blow dries her hair all the time to get it nice and smooth, not stick straight, bone straight. She still likes volume and movement and all that good stuff. Uses a flat iron, a couple times a week, not every single day. Washes her hair every 2-3 days, so 2-3 times a week. Fair. That's our client. That's your average client.
Okay, so what are the ends like?
Let's go with collarbone. Yeah, let's go with collarbone. Okay. She's
are
a
the ends porous?
ponytailer. What's that?
The ends porous?
Sure. Why not?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So
she drinks her matcha while she's going for her run. She works out. The usual, like the average client, right?
Okay. So she pulls her hair back, and so she has some nice.
The other average client that sits on the couch and watches the TV like a potato.
Why are you picking on Carm?
She's home right now. All right. So either way. So yeah. So there's your client. There's your level 7, right? We've done the consultation. She's good to go. Now we're back there. We got to formulate.
Okay.
What are you grabbing first? We're going to lighten this, and then we're going to tone it.
Virgin hair?
Nobody's really a virgin anymore, right? So she's got prior highlighting done, highlights, lowlights, same like level 6, 7 lowlights.
We doing a global application?
Like same on level color.
Okay, are we doing a global application or are we doing highlights?
Highlights.
First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my blue lightener.
Why blue lightener?
Huh?
Why blue lightener over the white?
I like blue lightener because it controls a little more of the brassy underlying tone for me.
Okay.
I am going to use blue lightener. Yeah. I'm stuck because I'm stuck because I know what I would do, and the minute I say it, everybody's head's gonna explode. So I'm gonna go with the textbook answer to that. I'll use a blue base 20 volume developer to give me a little more brass control, and I'll use some lightener control by All Nutrient in it, which is my additive.
Time out. We're talking about a technique that'll blow your client away.
I am giving them a technique.
So go full stop. If that's or send it. If that's what you wanted to say, something you wanted to say.
No, because unless I can't. I will not. I will not, because what I would do is not what the mainstream would do. And plus,
that's why we're talking about something that'll blow your client away.
Yeah, but your client doesn't need to know what volume developer you're using.
Sure she does. So she can go out there and say it to everybody else, and then everybody will be like, is he crazy? He sucks. He's this, he's that. And
that's why I'm not saying nothing. Anyway, I'm going to use blue base developer, which is awesome, which helps me control my more brass. And then I'm going to use some lightener control, which is an
developer.
Blue base developer.
Okay. What is a blue base developer?
It has actually blue pigment in it, which will help you when you're lightening.
So blue developer with blue powder lightener.
Yep. It's going to give you more of a clearer blonde. Really, because when you lighten, when we're lightening, right? So when we lighten, what goes first? What of the primary colors? And don't say magenta. You're not Bernard. Okay. So of the red, yellow, and blue, okay, because those are red, yellow, and green are the primary colors, right?
Sure. Don't take my joke and then try to hit me with my own joke, sucker.
Red, yellow, and blue are the primary colors, right? So when you lighten, which color leaves first?
Blue.
Blue. Then what goes?
Red.
Red. So that leaves you with yellow. But blue goes very quickly, as we well know. Red, on the other hand, can be a little stubborn. And depending on what your underlying pigment is, what your contributing pigment is originally, you could have an overload of it a little bit too, right? So with that being said, the blue on blue lightener with developer, it actually helps break through to get to the yellow. So that's why the blue on blue lightener. Plus, I use lightener control, which is an additive to my lighteners. I put it in all my lighteners. It's got emollients in it. It has a oh, by the way, guys, this is a shameless plug for all nutrient lightener control. Hey guys, sorry, they pay my bills. But it's got emollients in it. It keeps the bleach moist. It doesn't grow and get foamy or anything like that. Like, you ever leave a bowl of bleach in, guys? You ever leave a bowl of bleach in the sink, come back an hour later, and it looks like a brain? It doesn't do that. But those three things will help ensure that I get up to that level 9.5, 10 that I want to be at. So yeah, they're and foiling, a foil technique for, once again, it depends on what you're really trying to do. But most of the butter blonde pictures that I've seen, it is a lot of face framing, and then through the top. So you could there's two ways you could go about that, at least in my experience. You could do a T-foil, or frame the face out and then sprinkle some in through here. Most of the butter blonde, at least the pictures that I've seen that have been done with highlights, with a highlighting technique, it does have a deeper underneath, and depending on your client's neckline and their chin, it could be a nice frame for them. If not, then you could go in and you could go diagonally just through the nape section too, just to fill it in a little bit. Especially like you said, she works out, she pulls it back, and if she doesn't like that two-tone look when she pulls it back, you can always do a diagonal forward sections, so that way when she pulls it back, she has that illusion. You could do that, and then you got to bring it up. Now, here's the big problem, okay? And everybody's rolling their eyes at me right now, and I know it, because we never, ever, 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 none of us do this. We never put a client under the dryer with lightener on their head and foils. We don't. That's a no-no. Can't do that.
Okay.
But you can use a processing machine. A Climason, something like that, or a steamer. If you're you're having fun with this,
I'm just trying to see where you're going with this.
You're asking me how I would attack this, how I would get that butter blonde. Now, full processing time. Let your lightener work, guys. You got to let your lightener work.
With the lightener working, let me say it this way: with your lightener working, the developer strength itself doesn't matter. If you want control, steady lift, use a lower strength, a 3%, a 6%, a 10 volume, a 20 volume. If you're comfortable, if you're quick, if you're not planning on leaving it on very long, then bump up your developer strength. Use a 6% or a 12%. Use a 30 volume or a 40 volume. It doesn't matter. It only matters in your comfort level, and it only matters in how long you're planning on leaving them foils on there. If you're using the additive equipments like heat sources, just understand what all those heat sources are doing. If you're popping them under a dryer, it's going to dry out your product faster. You're going to get a flash bump, a flash lift, but you're not going to get an extended lift. So you're actually going to lose in the long run. You're just gaining lift in the short term. If you only want a level or two, then that's fine. But leaving a client under a dryer for an extended period of time, 20, 30, 40 minutes the entire time, that's why you're cracking hair. It's drying out your product and there's nothing left to burn. So now it's burning the client's hair. When you're using the lamps and the steamers, they work different. You could still do damage with a lamp or a steamer if you're not respective to how those work. So just be mindful of that. But once you got them, okay, so now we've got them to our lift, and now we've gotten them lightened up real nice. So you hit that 9.5, you hit that 10-ish level. So
Okay.
you're washing it out at the shampoo bowl now, yeah?
You shampoo it out, yeah. Washing it out the shampoo bowl.
Okay.
Making sure definitely. And now I'm going to go in with my toner. Okay, I would towel blot a few of the highlights off to see what is left, and then to get that butter tone, that gold, that slightly touch of gold to neutral based toner. Tone them. Now, here's my question to you. My question to you is, with toning, since we're talking about being profitable, okay, toning, can we both agree that every minute that you leave a toner on equals a shampoo?
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, yes.
Okay. Let your toners process. You flash something on there for 3 minutes and then rinse it out. It's going to look great when she leaves. But when she gets 2 shampoos down the line, what happens? You're going to be getting a phone call. It's a little brassy.
Yeah.
Okay. So 12 to 15 minutes, usually with your toner. And then you let them know that after 2 weeks, if the toner starts fading a little bit, you got to come back and get a toner refresh. Right?
It's interesting how nervous people get about toning, because I can appreciate the sentiment, but I'll never understand it. You've lightened that hair all the way up, and you've got it to a very bright 9.5 level 10. And clients look at that and they're like, oh my God, that's so bright, it's perfect. So then the stylist doesn't want to tone it, doesn't want to seal it, doesn't want to complete the service afterwards. And then they just leave it be. And they don't realize how detrimental that is. They really, really don't realize how detrimental that is at all. If you do not complete that lightening service, the first thing that touches that hair is what's going to stain that hair. And what we don't realize a lot of the time as stylists, the first thing that is touching that hair is the blow dryer. We're starting to dry that hair. So all that heat is starting to get in there. And if there's any residual lightening left in there, it's going to burn through whatever's left. And that's what's going to turn it further brass, further warm, further gold, further whatever, plug and play, whatever word you want to use in there. If your product has any pigmentation in it whatsoever, the color of that product is going to stain into that hair. The porosity of that pre-lightened hair is so high that it's going to suck up the first thing it grabs, because it's trying to complete the process. It's trying to fill in whatever's been pulled out. Lightening, lifting, blonding, bleaching, whatever way you're doing it is taking out color. You have to put something back in. There is no other two ways about it. If you don't put the toner in to put color back in, life finds a way. I've seen Jurassic Park. Life finds a way. Something else is going to fill that back in.
Look, I always tell the story. I don't know if you this is for you us older hairdressers. There used to be a company, amazing shampoos and conditioners called Claypack. Do you remember Claypack?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay, and they had this marigold, literally marigold conditioner, and I still remember a lady was highlighted and just shampoo conditioned. And as she was leaving, she sees this marigold conditioner, loves the smell of it, and buys it. 2 days later, she's back in the shop with almost I can't even. It was almost like Tweety Bird colored highlights because just one condition, a simple conditioner, one conditioning treatment isn't going to completely close that cuticle down. Right? And because there was nothing put back in there or over the hair to protect that stylist, that colorist's work, like you said, the first thing that hair did was it sucked in that marigold conditioner. And it's the same thing. That's why I'm a firm believer in finishing your services, as far as your chemical services, as far as doing something to close down that cuticle, doing something to protect those gorgeous highlights you just did.
Yeah, I am.
And that's a technique. That's another technique where you're going to get people in your chair that go, oh, I've never had a toner. Even if it's a clear glaze, just to seal that hair down, give it some shine. You'll be amazed at how many people go, oh, my old stylist never did this. This is amazing. And then there's those that have watched a TikTok or a video or a reel or something, and they go and buy the blue or purple shampoo from Walgreens or Target or wherever, and that unfinished hair, and they shampoo it with their next shampoo is with that blue or violet shampoo.
Okay.
And then they look like our grandmas, the grandmas at church, the old blue-haired ladies. And then they come back to you, and it's the other end of the spectrum. It's too ashy. Well, it wasn't like this when you left. What did you do? Oh, I saw this thing, but blue shampoo or purple shampoo. I thought you said this was going to be honey blonde,
Yeah, protect your work.
You got to protect your work. You got to finish your work. Now, since we're talking about being profitable stylists, a toner, a glaze, whatever finisher you put on that hair is not part of the highlighting service, at least in my book. That is an extra charge. Whatever you decide to charge is whatever your market will bear. But that's also, since we're talking about being profitable and building our tickets, that helps build your ticket. True? And then you making recommendations for what kind of shampoo and conditioner they should be using.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, to maintain it properly.
Yeah, that is utmost of importance. Because then that way you're covering yourself too. Because if she decided that there was an Amazon flash deal for, some Chinese shampoo and conditioner, I got a deal on this blue shampoo and conditioner or violet shampoo and conditioner. I didn't tell you to use that. It's part of guaranteeing your services too. You didn't use the products I said. I can't control what happens after you walk out the door of that salon. But that is also part of being profitable, because most people want that instant gratification. They want to take, whoa, look, I'm killing the place. They want to take that product home with them. Study showed, there was a study they did, 78% of people buy something for their hair within the first 24 hours of getting their hair done. whether it be color, cut, anything, because their hair is foremost in their mind. Finishing, definitely, you got to finish your work. Now, then another trend that we're seeing is the beach blonde. I want the beach blonde.
So one of the things I like to do for the bleach blonde is to use 2 different colors in the same spot. That's personally what I like to do. And what do I mean by that is whether you're going to do it blonde on blonde, whether you're going to do highlight, low light, whether even if you're not going to do, well, yeah, bleach blonde, we're talking about blonde. I was going to say, I do it a lot on the brunettes. I do this a lot on brunettes. I'll do their base color and I'll do a low light, or sometimes I'll do 3. I'll do their base color, a low light, and a level lighter. So it gives it a highlighted dimensional thing as well too. I do a triple foil in the same spot on a brunette, but on bleach blondes, I do a double, and it looks like an explosion of color coming out of the same piece, right? And then I'll leave a little space in between the foils. So I don't just foil back to back to back to back to back. Right. And what happens is when you go in and you take your slice and then you weave out whatever the pieces are going to be that you're going to highlight, lightener, bleach, whatever you're going to put, whatever those strands are that are left over in between, grab those exact pieces, put your second formula right there. And those 2 foils will be sitting right on top of each other. You just got to be a little careful. So if the foil slips, if one foil slips, that one doesn't bleed into the other one. Then you're going to have to shadow root the whole thing to cover it up. But
so here, I'm going to stop you for 1 second, because since we're talking about techniques, let's talk about foiling for just a second. Okay? Foil technique.
Okay.
So you have your foil here, guys, right? Some people use half the size, some people use the whole foil. So what? You fold your foil up like this. You've seen me do this 100 times. Okay? So we've now put the foil in the head, boom, folded it up, right? What do you do next? How do you fold it next? Huh?
Move on to
the next foil. You foil the way I do, right?
I crease the hell out of it at the bottom so it puts a bend in the hair.
So yeah, you got to get it nice and tight, okay? But I have seen people who then take that foil and they fold it again.
Okay, yeah, okay, I've seen that, sure.
And then, but wait, they're not done. Then what do? They make a neat little Christmas present.
Well, you don't want it to bleed out the sides.
They make themselves a nice little Christmas present. Now, here's my question.
It looks beautiful.
Here's my question. What's the most important thing besides developer that you need, especially for color and or lightener or bleach?
Your hood dryer behind you.
That's not the answer. We'll talk about the hood dryer in a second, because we're going to get into that. Because you opened a can of worms with me with this. You should have left me at home. You should have left me at home alone, because I'm sure Bernard would be giving us other color techniques right now. Ooh, another dig at Bernard. What's the most important thing? Oxygen. You're right. Oxygen is what you need. How much oxygen is in this packed up foil?
Whatever you put in there. That's why you got to seal it in so it stays in there.
Okay, so after your lightener or whatever has used up all the oxygen that you've put in here, guys, you gotta let it breathe.
The only opening that's left in that packet of foil is
the top
applied to the hair, and that's why sometimes you get them holidays or the demarcation lines.
If that product expands, guess where it's going? This way. And as far as I know, zebra stripes are not in. They're not trending. Eventually, they'll trend. So, guys, you can fold one side, but let it breathe. And if you get any expansion, it's going to go this way instead of this way. So, and with that being said, I love your technique. That tone on tone technique that you were just
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about. But another thing that you could do is, and I do the same thing, except I do it in a herringbone pattern.
Okay.
I will. Whoa, the book just ran away because it's scared of you, Eddie. So you put one foil in, and then you bring your other foil right in front of it, and you herringbone all the way down the part. And then what I do is the lengths in between, the veil lengths, then I will go in with either, if they're not getting a base color, I'll go in and I'll feather through a second color so you catch glimpses of it. So if you're doing blondes and she's already blonde, I'll go in with like a level 8 or something like that just to give it some dimension. And usually I'll do it with more of like well, see, I cheat because I love the Sun series in All Nutrient. It is the Swiss Army knife of All Nutrient, and it's a beautiful golden. It's a beautiful kind of goldy, got a little touch of, it is summer. It's a summer color, and it looks fantastic. And you get that same thing, like you said, you get that explosion of blonde where it looks like someone who's been at the beach for 2 weeks. It's fantastic. And then sometimes, especially once again, we're talking about a technique that'll blow your client's mind, which is really finishing your highlights. And then I will go in with a toner, and especially if we're going for that beachy blonde, I'm gonna use like a 9 and an 8 and tone them with that, so you get more of that sun-kissed beach look. And it's fantastic. You can do so many things just a little bit different for your client to make them pay attention. And then what are they going to do? They're going to go tell their girlfriends, right? Because everybody, they talk. Oh, my guy Eddie does this, and this to my hair. Wait a minute, my guy doesn't do that, or my girl doesn't do that. What's this, Eddie? And I'm using you as an example.
I got one more for you too.
Can I get Eddie's, name and number, and because you did something above and beyond, a little extra. How much extra time does it take you to do that in between or that back-to-back foil? No time at all.
Any extra time, no.
Exactly. And it's all about the technique and doing it just a little bit different and getting that result, right?
So here's one more technique that I got for you. This works on already a pre-existing blonde that you're touching up, and talking about the bleach blonde, the summer blonde technique. You go in and you foil whatever the outgrowth that they have. And then, again, they got longer hair. So not all of that hair is going to go into that foil. So generally what we do is we'll just foil whatever the outgrowth area is, and then the rest of that hair is sticking out. So now they're processing, and they're going to process for about 20 minutes, give or take. So what I'll do is I'll go and I'll mix up a toner of level 9, level 10, and I'll actually run that through globally over all the hair that's sticking out of the foil, half the hair strand that's sticking out of the foil, and whatever hair is left. And I'll let that process the entire time the foils are processing for. When you take them back to the shampoo bowl, wherever you pull the highlights from, now you're going to have this really bright flash of color, and then your ends are going to look beautiful color, So then I'll go mix a level 8 toner, and I'll put it right at the scalp area. Leave that on for about 10 minutes, purposefully focusing only on the scalp area, not pulling it through the ends. But then when you go to rinse it out, it's going to run through the ends a little bit anyways when you're rinsing it out.
Right.
And whatever the porosity grabs, it grabs. And whatever it doesn't, it doesn't. And because you've just toned the entire time with level 9, 10, pretty much nothing is going to grab through those ends unless that hair is really shot to hell.
Right.
What ends up happening is that level 8 turns the fresh highlighted area kind of like that dishwater blondish. So it's a little bit darker, but it's pretty much on tone, on level with the ends. And it gives it like a Bali ombre effect. And that to me is that beautiful summer blonde, bleach blonde, like you've been at, you've been at the beach, you've been surfing all day. You get a little sand left over in your hair, things like that. So that's another way to do it.
They make those sea salt sprays that you can put in the hair to make it look that way.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, that salt texture spray, those are cool. I dig that. Yeah, I mean, guys, your creativity, it can be endless, especially when you're dealing with these new trends. How you get there, really, in my world, there's techniques. There's tons of techniques. I watch techniques all the time. You and I share techniques all the time. Phone calls. Hey, it's getting there. And once you get there, it is the best feeling in the world. But you can just, what's old becomes new again. And there are old techniques coming back. You and I on the SFTB podcast, we're just talking about because when we first came into the business, about cap frosting.
Oh yeah.
Foiling. When I first came into the business, foiling was in its infancy. I mean, and the old school cap frost. I mean, I want to bring back the cap frost. But the problem is they don't make. We used to use it for low lighting too. We would pull strands through with the cap. Hold on. Let me get it. I have to get it because I can't believe that I still have it.
You're so excited about this. Every technique has its place.
This is my old school cap, guys. My old school latex cap. They don't even make these anymore. Look at this thing. I babied this thing like there was no tomorrow, because really, this thing made me thousands of dollars. It really did. And the fact that I know how that I was trained initially on a cap really helps me with my foiling, with my color placement. Because if you didn't pull a cap correctly, first off, the hair underneath, guys, had to be perfectly set up. And you had to go in at a 45-degree angle, or else it got blotchy, and you had to make sure there were no loops in the hair that you pulled through the hole. It's just like foiling. It's just like foiling.
Absolutely. So those are a couple of fun techniques, real quick.
Right.
They're whatever techniques you guys do, let us know in the comments. Let's see what share them up. Share them up, because foiling is my go-to. That's my personal favorite. I know freehanding, there's a couple of freehanding techniques out there. There is, the cap, there's other tools and methods. We were just on a call talking about using the old the mesh slips.
Oh yeah. The Maja mesh slips.
The Maja mesh slips. So those are cool too, right? So many different things. Think about this. If it's your first time your client's seeing it, or if it's your first time using it in the salon, that is something new to your audience. And that's going to blow them away. Yep. So there's nothing wrong with bringing back something that you haven't done for a while, or trying something new. There's nothing wrong about talking about it either. So definitely throw them in there. Let's share it with everybody else. Let's get a nice little list going. What's your favorite?
Yeah.
What have you seen? What do you want to learn? And if you're looking for classes, if you're looking for advices, if you're looking for things like that, that's what we're always here for. That's what we're always available for. So we'll catch you all next week. Thank you so much for watching. John, thanks for joining us today.
Bye, guys.